cognitive dissonance here. We swapped out Reverend Dave for Reverend David. I'm David, and he's off in Bermuda, I think, is the word. No, thank you. But how come he gets to go to Bermuda and the rest of us are stuck here freezing our you-know-what's off? But I hope they're having a good time. This is the first Sunday of Reverend Dave's sabbatical, so Dewey and I did not actually coordinate that we would be here to screw up everything possible so we could figure out where all the bumpy spots were, but that's the way it's going to work out. I will do my best. I have the cheat sheet that he gave me, and I also found, when I put my sport coat on this morning, an order of service in the pocket, in the inside pocket. May 5th, 2019, Music Sunday. I saved it, I guess. So, by way of saying that I'm very glad to be here, Sally is very glad to be here. We still feel very connected to you, if far away. And that's my little sign that we are still very connected to you. So, good morning. Welcome to First Parish UU of Medfield. Welcome to all streaming in from home. The streaming in this morning was your usual leisurely when you show up, and that's okay. The people at home are in their pajamas maybe, but that's good too. And welcome to all who are visiting, especially this first Sunday of January 2025. We hope all will stay for social hour after the service, and you remember that we have to respect the RE because they're in the basement, at least temporarily, so we don't want to burst in on them desperate for coffee. This congregation first gathered in 1651. This historic meeting house was built in 1789, which was, this land on which it was built was and is still now unceded ancestral land of the Nipmuc Nation, who inhabited this area for thousands of years prior to the arrival of European colonists. Welcome to this place. Here we search for truth and understanding. Here we celebrate life and contemplate its mysteries. Here we share healing and wholeness. Whoever you are, whatever you believe, wherever you come from, whomever you love, we welcome you to this congregation.
This chalice lighting is Now I Become Myself by May Sarton. Now there is time, and time is young. Oh, in this single hour I live, all of myself and do not move. I, the pursued, who madly ran, stand still, and stop the sun.
Thank you, Eva. Our call to worship today comes from W.S. Merwin. To the New Year, from his 2005 collection called Present Company. With what stillness at last you appear in the valley, your first sunlight reaching down to touch the tips of a few high leaves that did not stir, as though they had not noticed and did not know you at all. Then the voice of a dove calls from far away in itself to the hush of the morning. So this is the sound of you, here and now, whether or not anyone hears it. This is where we have come with our age, our knowledge such as it is, and our hopes such as they are, invisible before us, untouched, and still possible. Thank you. I invite you now to rise if you are comfortable in doing so and join in hymn number 315, 315, This Old World. Thank you. The Southern Harmony, one of the great resources for music of particularly the Appalachian South, 1835, is where that tune comes from. So we enter now from a time of sharing our joys, our sorrows, our memories, that our hearts and minds quiet in these moments for prayer as you wish, meditation as you wish, a time to reach out from within. Amen. I wasn't going to miss the bell, the bowl. We have a reading today, which Dewey is going to give you.
Today's reading is A Ritual to Read to Each Other by William Stafford. Excuse me. If you don't know the kind of person I am, and I don't know the kind of person you are, a pattern that others have made may prevail in the world, and following the wrong God home, we may miss our star. For there is many a small betrayal in the mind, a shrug that lets the fragile sequence break, sending with shouts the horrible errors of childhood, storming out to play through the broken dike. As elephants parade holding each other's elephant's tail, but one wanders the circus, won't find the park. I call it cruel, and maybe the root of all cruelty, to know what occurs but not recognize the fact. And so I appeal to a voice, to something shadowy, a remote important region in all who talk, that we could fool each other, that we should consider, lest the parade of our mutual life get lost in the dark. For it is important that awake people be awake, or a breaking line may discourage them back to sleep. The signals we give, yes or no, or maybe, should be clear. The darkness around us is deep.
Thank you, Michael. It says Michael here, so thanks. All right. Call to worship, benediction. Oh, sermon, good. I do have frequent ministry nightmares. And of course, one of the most important ones is, where the heck is the sermon? Which did actually happen to me once, not here, but at the Saco and Bedford Church. I was coming along toward the sermon and I realized I'd left it on my desk in the office, so I had to go out in the middle of the service and get the sermon so I could deliver it. But just once. Roads and Bridges, this is entitled. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. By thy long gray beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stoppest thou me? Some of us linger on from the age of dead white male culture, so those lines may sound familiar. They begin The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Now it happens that Coleridge was a probationary Unitarian minister when he wrote his epic poem in 1797 and 98. But he was soon after offered an annual stipend, a living in the English terminology, if he would forswear the ministry, which he promptly did. Good decision, Sam. In 1833, this is a footnote, Ralph Waldo Emerson visited Coleridge in London. And according to Emerson's biographer, Ralph Richardson, they spent the afternoon amusing each other with jokes about Unitarianism, what we would now call snark. although I'm sure it was at a much higher level than your ordinary snark. Emerson probably named the same corpse-cold strictures he would go on in 1838 to famously damn in the Divinity School address. Now, setting that ignition point of transcendentalism aside, because that is one of the places that transcendentalism started, let's focus on the essential advice contained in Coleridge's arduously long account of the mariner's arduously long journey. It's simple. Don't kill the albatross. It's terrible bad luck, and enraged fellow sailors might hang the very large dead bird around your neck, as they did to the mariner. And if you go to Coleridge's home, you'll find a statue of the mariner with the dead albatross hanging around his neck. So I guess I should hope you remember that that was the critical mistake that the mariner made. The albatross is good luck. And in a fit of anger, he shot it with his crossbow. And the whole rest of the story is the consequences that unfold. So keep that don't kill in mind. I do have some other thoughts, but let me emphasize, these thoughts are from my glittering eye, if you will. I do not speak for anyone else. Calling a sabbatical a journey reminds us that it is, as all journeys must be, a progress into the unfamiliar. Your settled minister departs for a period of time, thank you, Bill, 3 months in this case. Your other staff, lay leaders, and a few substitute ministers carry on the accustomed functions, as I am doing this morning. The devil, as always, is in the details, but still the answer to how we do it is pretty straightforward. Why do we do it? Now that's a more intriguing question. The roots of the bureaucratic process lie in 20th century academia. The roots of the interlude in relationship are more important. They go all the way back to Genesis, as Bill has helpfully summarized, to the 6 days of creation and the 7th day of rest, which became Sabbath. Even God needs a break. So do societies. Thus, the prescribed Jubilee year of the Hebrew Scriptures, the 1 year in every 7 when, among other things, all debts must be forgiven. Wouldn't we like to have that? Sometimes that even happened. As ordinary people in our day, we might remember Billy Wilder's 1955 film, The 7-Year Itch, with Marilyn Monroe's dress billowing up in the subway grate. That's the movie that scene appeared in. Or we might be familiar with Roseanne Cash's 1981 country crossover #1 hit, The 7-Year Ache. Two concepts are intertwined here. One is rest. Your minister rests from his responsibilities. You rest from him. Wait, you say. At least I hope you do. We like Rev Dave. That is exactly why you declare a rest for Rev Dave, so he doesn't burn himself to a cinder, as ministers have been known to do, more times than we would like to admit. That's exactly why you declare rest for yourselves, because you don't want to get complacent or go stale or even sour in your relationship, as congregations have been known to do, more times than we would like to admit. You declare a rest precisely because you want Rev Dave to stay, and you're doing what you can to make it happen. Sabbaticals are admittedly archaic, and only a few lucky people get them, but they work. They are demonstrated to be of significant help in renewing and sustaining productive ministry. That matters, especially when you do have a minister you like. The sabbatical journey is like any other, unfolding along roads to experience and over bridges to exploration. You will experience different ways of doing church things. In our reading today, William Stafford has named the parade of our mutual life. What a wonderful phrase. I'm quite sure you will all be fine in that procession. I hope you will also take time to experience the rest. A deliberate pause in routine accrues benefits to the spirit. We remind ourselves that strengthening the spirit is what church is for. It is so easy to lose track and fall away. Your sabbatical journey, like every journey, should also be about exploration. What we are invited to explore is relationship. Who are we together? Removing one key piece from the chessboard invigorates all the other pieces, revealing their fullest qualities and possibilities. Stafford uses the striking image of circus elephants. Here is where he first uses parade. Elephants are social beasts, and they instinctively hold one another's tail for reassurance and direction along the way to the park. Here is where we anchor to the second foundational concept of sabbaticals. The periodicity of all things, the way life flows in cycles. The year of Jubilee is the 7th year. Then the cycle repeats. The itch and the ache notoriously arise in the 7th year. Then, to a greater or lesser degree, we struggle to rise above them to sustain happiness. Every academic seminary has for years taught that ministry also unfolds in cycles. Want to guess the interval? Yes, in the back? 7 years, you say. Bingo. Your mileage may vary, but the fundamental concept doesn't. Every call to ministry must evolve to accomplish some recognizable change in style, practice, or priorities over about that number of years. Or you're going to see what airline pilots call an unplanned descent. Years of experience show that, like going broke, the ground can come up slowly and then all at once. Better not to go there at all than have to pull frantically out of a plunge. I apologize if I have aroused a sense of existential dread by mentioning that word change. It's human nature to want it to pass us on by. But the universe doesn't work that way. The natural world doesn't work that way. Our lives don't work that way. Tomorrow will never be the same as today. It's an immutable law. Church surely doesn't work that way. You would not really want it to. How blinkered to ignore the changes and challenges in the world all around us. How soul-deadening to attend every week and hear nothing new. How fretful and fruitless to shun what is incubating within and among us, the summons of our hearts. A congregation, especially a strong congregation like this one, is a dynamic force, a people on the path of sharing and moving with the courage and wisdom of their faithfulness. Holding each other's tails, metaphorically of course, is what we do. And here is, I think, the best news, and I feel this very strongly. Reverend Dave's ministry is also your ministry. Shared ministry is a term the UUA has taken to throwing around in recent years rather carelessly, causing both theological and organizational confusion. But the foundational sharing, the one at the heart, the core from the Hebrew tradition all the way back then, of Aaron being accepted by the people as the first priest, is the heritage of calling and settling your own religious leader. You thus bond in responsibility and care for each other far beyond any contract of law. You enter freely into what is seen as a life partnership. Neither of you can really go anywhere without the other. Even if you choose to part, you cannot merely shed your companion. Now, you congregations are lately stampeding to contract ministry. It's much easier than a real call. No exacting process, no frustrating negotiations, no squinting accommodations by either side. Not now, and this is the crucial problem with that approach. Not in the future either. You follow what I'm saying here? Once you start in a contract relationship, and there are lots of good reasons to do it. I was a contract minister for you for a year. But at the end of the day, it sets the whole relationship in that path, governed by a piece of paper, instead of covenant of the heart. You are fortunate to have called and settled a minister, a good minister. I encourage your reflection over these next few months on how fortunate you are to have done that. Someone who pledges to you as you pledge to him. There's no more valuable activity in the sabbatical time than fully appreciating how this strength at the core of your community sustains all you pledge together to each other. The pearl of great price is the caring covenant of resilience that holds all together against any trial. Mr. Coleridge ends his tale by reminding us what that means, the larger picture, the lesson that the mariner has to share with us. He says, "He prayeth best who loveth best, all things both great and small. For the dear God who loveth us, he made and loveth all." Amen. Blessed be. Shalom. Salam.
As I've said several times before, this community rests on three things. It rests on us, it rests on what we do, and it rests on our support for this community. It's wonderful seeing you all out here on the first Sunday of 2025. We have all year to look forward to what we do, and we hope you will be generous today in support of this community.
Thank you, Dewey and Don, for taking the offering, and thank all of you for participating in it. I invite you to rise now as you are comfortable and join in hymn number 40. Number 40, "The Morning Hangs a Signal." Thank you. Our benediction today is also from William Stafford, from a collection called The Way It Is, New and Selected Poems, 1998. This is called Once in the 40s. We were alone one night on a long road in Montana. This was in winter, a big night far to the stars. We had hitched, my wife and I, and left our ride at a crossing to go on. Tired and cold, but brave, we trudged along. This, we said, was our life, watched over, allowed to go where we wanted. We said we'd come back sometime when we got rich. We'd leave the others and find a night like this, whatever we had to give, and no matter how far, to be so happy again. I will now extinguish our chalice. May its light and its warmth continue in our lives and in our hearts. So ends our worship service, and our service in the world begins.